I would say most probably about 80% of our bookings for next year are all repeat customers. But we have some customers that will come 2 or 3 times in a year, and which is really nice because you then start to build that rapport with them, and they almost then feel like old friends coming back to stay.
We've had a lot of people come and say, oh, I've watched your virtual tour, oh, I've seen you on YouTube, and then the kids go, oh, that's Vicki, and like they already know us, which is so lovely.
It does definitely come with lots of highs and lots of lows, and when you're out there and it's -2 and you're trying to build a brand new dome for the season ahead, and you're thinking, why am I doing that? Just remember, in a couple of months' time, it's going to be brilliant sunshine. You're going to have families running around and having fun, and so it's going to be a massive high.
Hello and welcome back to the Glamping Tech podcast. Hope you've all had a great Christmas and you're having a good new year. Today, for the first one of 2022, we're joined by Vicki and Brian Jones of Tractors and Cream. They're the owners of a glamping business. Whereabouts are you based?
We're in Somerset.
Somerset, down in Somerset. And they have, first of all, they've got a really successful glamping business, but they've also got a really successful YouTube channel. And that obviously blends into their success as a glamping business. And today we're just going to talk generally about where the idea for their site came from, how they set up their site, what's good, what's bad about being a glamping site owner, and just give a really good general overview of what it's like to be a glamping site owner from the start of the process to the end of the process. So just to introduce yourselves, guys, how did the idea to start a glamping business come about?
Well, we bought a house, so we moved from Surrey to Somerset because of Brian's job, because he got a job in Bristol, and Brian's from South Africa, so he just said, oh, I just fancy a bit of land. I was like, about 4 acres would do me. And I was like, okay, great. So I started looking for houses with land, and then we found this house that had a 6.5 acre field, and I thought, well, we had big discussions, didn't we, as to what we were going to do. So we thought initially we might keep goats, so we went on a goat keeping course, and there was a point in time where I had a goat between my legs and I was putting the drenching fluid down, wasn't it, down its throat, and I was like, Brian, I can't do this, I can't be a goat farmer, no way. So then, well, we met working in a hotel, so we kind of know hospitality. So Brian said, why don't we sort of try people, farm people rather than farm goats.
Probably a lot easier to do with.
Yeah.
Well, it was something that we have a background in, and we understand the hospitality industry really well, having worked in pubs, hotels. And then we thought, well, let's go and stay in a yurt, because we'd never done glamping before. And we went and stayed in a yurt, must be about 6 or 7 years ago now.
Yeah, 6 years ago, yeah.
Let's just put it, I was not sold on the whole glamping experience at that point.
He hated that, absolutely hated it.
But I think that was what was the catalyst then for us to think, well, okay, they've done that there, how would we do it so that actually I would want to stay in it? And Vicki will tell you, I'm no seasoned glamper by any stretch. I love hotels. And I think that's just because of my background in hotels. So we've now tried to create this to be much more how I would want to stay here.
So it's mainly like toilets, like having a toilet right nearby, having private shower rooms. So from not being campers, we've made something to suit people who want to try camping with their kids, but are a bit worried about it. And this is a really good way of introducing your kids to the outdoor type of stuff.
Right, and we all get it. Go on, sorry.
No, I was just going to say that actually most of our clients, they come from basically an hour away from us, and it's all city folk that just want their kids to experience the outdoors. And so that's what we've tried to create, is a real safe space for their kids to run free and be kids. Especially in the city, they can't just run wild and have fun outside as much as, say, they can here. And that's what we've tried to create.
Okay, and you mentioned there that you met at a hotel, and it's quite a common theme of quite a lot of the guests that we've had on here over the course of this podcast, that a lot of them have had previous hospitality experience and they've applied that to running a glamping site. So how have you guys applied those principles that you developed working in the hotel industry to your glamping business?
I would say most of it is customer service. Like, I think when you've worked in a service-based job, you understand the public and you understand how to give good customer service and you understand what people want. So so customer service is at the forefront of our business, in that we want to make sure everybody has an absolutely amazing time. We will go above and beyond and do whatever we can to make their stay the best it possibly can be. So yeah, we learn like housekeeping, and we learn like bar work, and we learn everything you could learn from being in a hotel. I was on reception and did reservations and all that sort of stuff. But generally, you learn how to deal with the general public.
And presumably, if you provide that really good customer experience, you get to know the customers, that leads to quite a few repeat bookings.
Yeah.
I would say most probably about 80% of our bookings for next year are all repeat customers. But we have some customers that will come 2 or 3 times in a year, and which is really nice, because you then start to build that rapport with them, and they almost then feel like old friends coming back to stay.
Yeah, we've made some really good friends, actually. Just from them staying several times, you know, since we started in 2017, we might have seen them sort of 6 or 7 times they might have stayed. And so then our kids get to be friends with their kids, and then actually they're probably not from that far away, so then you might meet up another time. Like, we've been invited around for campfires, and we've been invited to meet halfway with people who like live down in Plymouth or something like that. So yeah, we've actually made really good friends from it.
And I think you wouldn't have had that if we were just doing the no hands-on approach of, hi, you're staying in yurt number 2 round the corner there, and then just left them to that. Whereas I think because you're so hands-on, and you go and you make campfires for the kids, and you really get stuck in, and then you get on that personal level, and I think that's what is part of the key to our success.
Yeah, and that's amazing. We talk a lot on this podcast with guests about the importance of customer service, but you've just demonstrated there, where you say roughly 80% of your guests are previous bookings. That just shows you both, you know, obviously I'm sure it makes you, you know, happy seeing these people again and again, but also for the business. I mean, it speaks for itself. If you just know that you've got a constant stream of bookings coming in, as long as you keep treating these guests right, then it absolutely makes sense to invest time and money into this customer service.
Yeah, because it then means you haven't got a marketing cost really, because you don't need to pay for Airbnb or Booking.com or any of those OTAs. And yeah, we don't really actually advertise, do we? Particularly, no.
Yeah, as you say, it's a lot cheaper to retain a customer than it is to bring a new one in. So
100%.
just to give a picture for the audience of what your glamping site consists of, there you go. There's a question. What does your glamping site actually consist of?
So we've got 2 yurts and 2 geodesic domes, with a third geodesic dome coming probably next month. And we've also got a holiday cottage as well.
Mm-hmm. And I know, did you start with yurts and you sort of started to move towards domes? Is that right?
Yeah, we started with the yurts just because we literally knew nothing about glamping, and we went and stayed in a yurt and thought, oh, glamping is yurts. Like, why did we think that? We didn't even explore the option. But I mean, we were very restricted because our planning permission only allows us canvas. So we couldn't have shepherd's huts, we can't have caravans, we can't have anything wooden, you know. So we are governed by that. So we then branched into the world of bell tents, which was absolutely hideous.
Never again, thank you.
We're in quite an exposed site, and so the bell tent got ripped and damaged in the wind, and we had guests that were supposed to be staying in there, and it's all very stressful. So then we were like, what is the most wind resistant structure that we can possibly find? And we went to the glamping show and looked into the geodesic domes, and so came across True Domes, and thought they were brilliant.
Right, and a lot of these questions are based off the YouTube videos that I've seen of you guys, and I fear I might start off a bit of a domestic here, but I know that when you were decorating the interior of either the yurts or the domes, one of you did one of them and the other did the other, and there was a bit of a discrepancy in how much it cost to do the interiors for that unit. So if you could just run us through what happened there and how you, Vicky, managed to keep the costs down, and maybe Brian
oh my days. Yeah, so yes, because we had 2 yurts, like for time I said, well, you sort out the green yurt, I'll sort out the blue yurt. So I went for let's get like secondhand beds in that I can repaint, and let's buy stuff off Facebook Marketplace. And I spent £400 furnishing my yurt.
And yours looks like £400.
It is the favourite. And so Brian went to Oak Furniture Land and bought a massive mango bed that was like
Beautiful.
£800, and then bought everything new because he can't cope with Facebook Marketplace.
No.
So he spent £1,400 on the
You
interior.
can see the difference. Mine looks the business.
I thought this argument might have been settled by now, but clearly not.
No, it's definitely not. I still think mine is far better. Mine is much more hotel chic, whereas yours is much more down the local, I don't know.
Well, to be fair, a bit of variety on the site is probably better than having two identical looking units. So, you know, people can mix and match each time they stay, I imagine.
Well, that's what we've gone with, is trying to do each one completely differently. So we were very lucky that we had the BBC My Unique B&B team come and interior design our new our dome, 2020 dome. So we had an interior designer do that, and then we then got an interior designer to do the new dome, to do Class Dome. So that everyone is completely different, and I think we've had guests that are actively going through them, so that trying to stay in each one. And so this new dome that we're going to be getting for this year will be again completely different in design, just to mix it up a bit.
And this one is really going to be different, because traditionally in a dome you'd have all of your insulation the same color. We've actually decided to go for two-tone color this time, just to totally make it way out. And so this dome should look pretty epic. And we built the toilets and everything inside it, but we're trying to create almost like a Moroccan landscape of the sky being dark at night above, and then with like the sands around you. And I think it should look really good. Whether or not it works, in my head it works, but I think it should look epic.
Are they from True Domes?
Yes.
Yeah, we had Kelda from True Domes on the last episode, so I'm sure she'll be happy for a shout out there.
We listened to it.
Yeah. And I mentioned a few times here your YouTube channel, and this is, I don't know whether you treat this as a marketing tool, but I think it is an absolutely fantastic marketing tool. You've got a YouTube channel where you sort of talk about life running a glamping site, life setting up a glamping site. And I think it's got just over 6,000 subscribers on YouTube, which in the glamping industry is huge. And just wondering really where the idea for that came about, and how useful do you think it's been to have that as an asset for your business?
So I talked about vlogging, like what goes on, because there's some crazy stuff happens here, and so I've talked about it for ages. Or let's video what we do, and then for my birthday in 2019, I said to Brian, "Oh, can you buy me a GoPro? Because I wanted to start vlogging." And so that's when we started. We started January 2020 with the YouTube channel, and we just made a video about how we got started, and then we just tried to keep making a video every week, basically. And the purpose of it was to go around to different places locally and video, I don't know, like the Willards and Wetland Centre that's nearby. So make a video there so we could put it on our website, and then guests would see where they can go, because people like to watch videos. People like it to be easy to find out things to do in the local area. So that was my initial idea, to also try and get the guests to get to know us before they came, because then it's a bit more personal, isn't it? If somebody feels like they know you already, then it feels all a bit more comfortable. So we've had a lot of people come and say, "Oh, I've watched your virtual tour. Oh, I've seen you on YouTube." And then the kids go, "Oh, that's Vicki," and like they already know us, which is so lovely. And so we just sort of started making a video, and it didn't do that well. And then in the first lockdown, Brian wanted to make an A-frame cabin for a home office. I don't know why, I don't know how it happened, but it just happened. We thought, we've got time, let's just build this cabin. And that somehow got picked up in America, and that's had like 600,000 views or something like that video. That kind of catapulted the channel a bit, which was brilliant. And yeah, we've been in contact with all sorts of people all over the world. Like I'm chatting with somebody in the Isle of Man at the moment about who's setting up their site, and we've had people come down here and visit and have a look around. And I've had people in like New Mexico and in Romania and literally all over the world message us and say, oh, where are your domes from? What bale tent size would you recommend? Just completely random questions, which has been so exciting.
Yeah. Is there a particular video of yours that is your favorite to make?
I like
the build.
Yeah, the build videos, like where we do a start to finish build of a dome or build of a, the A-frame even. They're always fun.
I just think you can do so much more with the camera, and you can do like your time lapses, and it just makes it much more visually interesting, I feel. But doing like a build video, although we've literally just finished filming our best bits of 2020, and that was quite fun.
Yeah, 2021. We're back in 2022 now, Brian. Keep up. So we just filmed and we just kind of recapped what's happened in 2021, and you realise, crikey, loads has happened, and we've done heaps, and then we look onto what's happening next year, and there's so much going on, and for us, we're going to start forgetting about all the stuff we've done, and so to have that, even if the YouTube channel had 0 subscribers, we would still have that kind of documentation of what we've done and how far we've come, and you can just look back in 10 years time and it's all there on YouTube for us to watch.
That's pretty apt that you say that, actually, because I was just about to say, now that you're pretty successful glamping site owners, you've been running it for years now, it might be a little tricky to remember what it was like actually starting the site. Because I wanted to ask you, what were the best and the worst parts and possibly the most frustrating parts of the glamping site setup process?
So the worst part is building a yurt. Oh my days, it's the most stressful thing. And like all these things, you're supposed to have a team of people, and it's generally we haven't got just me and Brian. We don't have any family around to help particularly. So building that first time we built the yurt, I thought, what on earth are we doing? It's so difficult. I don't know how we're going to do it. I don't know how we're going to taking it down and putting it up every year. It's so stressful. So that's why we moved to domes, because you can leave them up all year round. Although we went into the dome yesterday, and many mice I think have got in there and chewed every bit of soft furnishing that I left in there to shreds. So that is the only downside. But yeah, generally it was for me the yurt. I don't know about you.
Well, so everybody always says, planning for us was an absolute nightmare. For us, planning was actually one of the simplest bits. Obviously, it came with a whole number of caveats in that we could only have 10 structures maximum. We could only have canvas. But in terms of the planning process, that was really straightforward for us. We were very, very lucky. And everybody said to us, oh, you can't do it alone. You've got to get somebody in to do it for it. But we winged it, just the pair of us. I did all the block drawings and submitted it and thought, well, if we don't get it, we don't get it. But fingers crossed we do. And I think it was
8 weeks. It was the standard planning. Yeah.
And we were like, wow, okay, we've now got the planning. What do we do? And so then it was like, okay, what are we going to do? So then we thought, okay, we've stayed in the yurt, let's do the yurts. But we went into it very, very slow and very small scale when we first started. We had the 2 yurts, but Vicki at the time was a bit like, oh, how am I going to be able to cope with 2 lots? And so we'd always only have 1 yurt in operation, and then the other one was on a turnaround. And then we'd swap, and then slowly Vicki went, actually, I can handle that. And then for the next year, it was both the yurts, and then we just basically grew organically every time she felt that she could take on more, or we got staff in to help in that. And so obviously we now have staff that help to turn stuff around, and that because we don't do the Monday check-in, Friday check-out, Friday check. We're open, and you can check in if you want to check in on a Thursday and check out on the Monday. You can. Obviously, we have a two-night minimum stay, just because we do all of the washing ourselves, and it just wouldn't be financially viable for us to do like a 1-night stay. But I would say that's how we grew. But in terms of hardships, I can't think there were.
we've a lot of time, like, you forget these things. A lot of the time we've said, that's it, we're selling up, it's so stressful, we've had enough. but it's mainly trying to get it's that time between February and April when we open, trying to get the yurts up, the furniture back in, all the mattresses in. Like our conservatory has 20 mattresses in it and all the bedding, and you know, you have to take an entire room of your house up for all the storage of stuff. And so it's that time of the setup every year that I find the most stressful now.
I think you only find that stressful is because, like this year, we're going to be building 2 domes at the same time as trying to get the site ready.
Yeah,
It's because we never sit still and just go, okay, we're at the capacity. Possibly in a couple of years' time, we'll be at capacity, and then we'll literally just be put all the furniture in and that. But it's when we're building stuff continually and trying to always evolve the site.
yeah, it's hard work.
That's when it becomes a bit more daunting, because obviously during the middle of winter, you don't want to be building stuff.
But that is the time you have to build stuff, is in the middle of winter.
Yeah. And we've covered the hardships now. What would you say is the best part about running a glamping site?
The smiles on the kids' faces when they just realise that they've got 6.5 acres to run around and just be free.
Yeah, and when I know this sounds really sadistic, but when the child is crying because they don't want to leave, that makes me happy. Because we know that we have made the most incredible memories for that family, and you know, if we didn't exist, I'm sure they would go somewhere else. But you know, we've done that for that family, and that to me is priceless.
And I know you've spoken about in the past about the fact that it's also giving you the opportunity to give your children a completely fantastic lifestyle where they can, you know, live in and around the site, and they've got all this freedom, and there's a play area as well. And it must be great being able to raise your kids in that kind of atmosphere.
Yeah, oh my goodness, they absolutely love it. And like William, he's the most sociable little kid ever, and so he will go off and find some friends and play for hours with them. And like one family, like Nicola and Jake, like they say we come back for William because William entertains Jake, and they get on so well that they come back every year, and just so the kids can play together. And yeah, our kids do absolutely love it and have the most amazing childhood. They're so lucky, the pair of them. Because they've just got the freedom, and they can just go off and they can make new friends, and they can go to the different play areas. And you know, Annabelle's decided that her career is going to be running the glamping site with me, and you know, she's helping me do the turnaround now because she's 8, so she's kind of getting more useful now. So yeah, it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant for them.
Even we've got afternoon teas, because we also do events as well, and so Annabelle's very good at like helping with the events, and she's almost like a little mini waitress type thing. And I think as we're getting an event dome this year, I think as we do more and more events, and as the kids get older, they'll start to be able to help a lot more, and so that'll keep our costs down, but also
slavery with the kids.
It's also then setting them up in a mindset of being able to work for themselves, and it's all these skills that hopefully they will learn as they grow older, instead of just suddenly getting to the age of needing to start a career and going, okay, what can I do type thing. They will already have been in a business and grown up with it, and I think that's priceless.
Yeah.
And so going into the final question, apart from getting your children to do all the work for you, what would you say is the biggest piece of advice you'd give to a prospective glamping site owner?
Afraid to do it.
Yeah, don't just, if you want to do it, then just do it. Like there's so many people who, I mean, when I spoke to Kelda about it, actually, she said, this is Kelda from True Dames, she said that most people, it takes 3 years. So they decide, they go in there, they speak to Kelda and they say, I'm going to buy a dome. And they don't actually purchase that dome for 3 years because they sit on the idea. They kind of, I mean, you've got to plan for these things, but sometimes you've just got to get on and do it. Otherwise, you'll sit and chat about it and never actually get on with it. So I think just do it is my advice. But don't be afraid of a lot of hard work.
Yeah, that's going to be my next point, because it does definitely come with lots of highs and lots of lows. And when you're out there and it's -2 and you're trying to build a brand new dome for the season ahead, and you're thinking, why am I doing that? Just remember, in a couple of months' time, it's going to be brilliant sunshine. You're going to have families running around and having fun. And so it's going to be a massive high. But you only realize those highs by having that hard time. And so I think it's a perfect mix. But no, hard work is you don't be afraid of that.
Yeah.
And also don't be afraid of spending 1,400 quid at Oak Furniture Land.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Store maintain it is definitely the better one.
Right. Okay. So thank you for that, both. If anyone wants to get in touch with you, whether it's about seeking advice for starting a glamping business or want to stay at your site or find your YouTube channel, how would they go about doing that?
So you can look up Tracks and Cream on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, or the website is tracksandcream.co.uk. And if you are starting a glamping site and you just want to chat to somebody, I am always more than happy to chat to people. Like, I'll do Zoom calls, or you can come and visit, or, you know, we don't charge any money for it. We just love talking about glamping and helping people, because we've been through it and we know how hard it is. And if you could just have a little bit of advice from anybody, then we're always willing to help. So absolutely get in touch.
Perfect. Well, thank you for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Glamping Tech podcast. I hope you enjoyed and that you found value in today's episode. If you did, feel free to leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, as it really helps us move up the podcast rankings. Thank you.